Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 316. Another day, another accuser coming forward. We're hearing from a young lady named Molly Skye Brown, who says that when she was 14 years old, Ghislaine Maxwell approached her while she was working out at a kids' gym in Palm Beach and attempted to groom her and bring her into the fold. Now, for those of us who have been following this case and the Jeffrey Epstein disgusting saga from the beginning, we understand this is their MO. We know that this is how they conducted themselves, and we know that Ghislaine Maxwell used to say she's going to look for nubiles. And that's exactly what we have here, folks. Ghislaine Maxwell trolling, looking for young girls to procure, to bring into the fold, and then to abuse. And it's unfortunate that here we are, reading another one of these stories about Ghislaine Maxwell and her disgusting draconian behavior when she could have been stopped decades ago, right along with her good buddy and business associate, Jeffrey Epstein. But nobody wanted to listen when people brought it forward. Nobody in the FBI wanted to do their job. So here we are, decades later, and while it's taken a while to get here, at least that bipedal serpent, Ghislaine Maxwell, is currently rotting in a jail cell. So let's jump into our article today from The Sun, and let's meet Molly Skye Brown. This article was published by The Sun, the authors, James Beal and Chris White. Headline, Vile Hunt. Ghislaine Maxwell was reported to the FBI by teen beauty queen after trawling gyms for naked girls. So not only was she approached, she also reported Ghislaine Maxwell to the FBI. Now, how many times have we heard it now? How many ladies, how many girls have to contact the FBI for them to do something about these people? Obviously, it didn't matter who contacted them in the past. The only reason that we're even seeing any movement now is because of the tremendous pressure that the Department of Justice is under by the public. That means you. All of you folks that download this podcast twice a day, download the other podcasts that have to do with Epstein, those of you that are following Lisa and Jen, you are the reason why action is being taken here, in my opinion. All of the people who refuse to sit back and let these people get away with it have decided to put their voices together, and instead of just a one voice in the wind, it becomes literally millions of voices that they cannot ignore. And that's exactly where we are right now, in my opinion. And I think that as the case moves forward, as it grows and it gets bigger, and more interest, I know that's hard to believe, but more interest is taken in it, I think we're going to see more of this, right? I've said it from the jump. We will hear more people coming forward and sharing their stories. With Jeffrey Epstein dead, Ghislaine Maxwell behind bars, and the co-conspirators as far as the core four on the run, well, I think you're going to see a lot more people have the thought to come forward and think that there won't be repercussions for them doing so, considering Maxwell is behind bars and Epstein is dead. And we see it with Adam Lang. We're seeing it with Molly Skye Brown here. And I don't think that this story is actually about, fear or anything like that per se. But in general, that's what we're seeing, right? People are coming out now that Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, now that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, now that this part of the cell has been shattered, you're seeing people willing to speak with authorities and go on the record. Molly Skye Brown, 42, says she was picked out at 14 by British socialite, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scuzzbag, and bipedal serpent, while working out at a kids' gym in Palm Beach, Florida, close to pedophile billionaire Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. So this is not out of the realm of possibility at all, right? Why wouldn't Ghislaine troll a place like this? This is exactly what they were looking for. Young girls that they can mold, young girls that they can bend into what they want them to be, and normalize the abuse at the same time. Another one of Molly's friends also complained that Maxwell used to regularly prowl around one of Florida's largest shopping malls in Orlando. Check, check. We know that she did this elsewhere. Why would she not be doing it in Florida? Especially in Florida, honestly. They were brazen as hell in Palm Beach. The way they were conducting themselves? To think that they wouldn't be at malls? What do you mean? That's where those 14-year-old girls like to hang out, right? Those 16-year-old girls. You show up at the mall there, these girls, a lot of them are from broken homes and whatnot. So you show up there with all kinds of pie-in-the-sky ideas and how you can give them money and you have a job for them. Hell yeah, you're going to have their interest. Hell yeah, they're going to be ready to listen to what you have to say. So it is way more than plausible that Ghislaine Maxwell was trolling these malls. And in fact, I wonder how many unnamed girls from these malls were caught up in this trafficking ring. Former high school model and singer Molly, who once sang before a Miami Dolphins American football game, was allegedly spotted by the heiress, bipedal serpent, in 1992. Molly told The Sun, "Maxwell tried to recruit me. I was 14. I was starting to get more into modeling, acting, singing, and pageants with the expectation of making some scholarship money or grant money to further my education." And again, we see this kind of stuff, right? Kids that are in pageants, kids that are actors, kids that are models. These are the sort of prime hunting grounds these predators love to activate themselves in. And we've seen it with Jeffrey Epstein over and over and over again. How many times has he donated to some sort of acting guild or some sort of acting school or a music school or an art school? It was not because he was this great charitable person who wanted to throw money around. He was looking for access to girls right around Molly's age at the time of this situation. I was working at a gym in Palm Beach County in the child care facility. They gave you a free membership if you worked there 2 to 4 hours at the weekend. I was on the elliptical machine working out, which is by the front window. I was half naked, a young girl with an exercise outfit on, showing my body. I saw Maxwell walk by and she stopped. I was the only one in there. She looked me up and down, then came into the gym, walked to the front counter, and I could hear her say, "I'm not going to be long. I just want to talk to this girl." And I almost hear her voice saying it, right? In that stupid ass, uppity English accent of hers. The whole nose in the air kind of situation. With nothing but ill intent on her mind. Seeing this half-dressed little girl and thinking to herself, "Oh yeah, there's a good one. That's the kind that Jeffrey would love." So this disgusting bipedal serpent, this fellow child abuser of Jeffrey Epstein's, thinks it's a good idea to walk into this place to try and recruit her. She walks towards me and hands me her business card. She introduced herself, said she was a modeling scout, and asked, "Do I do any modeling?" I said I did. She said, "Well, you have the look. How old are you?" I told her my age, and she said, "Oh my God, you look so much older. You could easily pass for 18. Maxwell is said to have offered Molly glamorous work as a Victoria's Secret model, but also working as a masseuse. We all know that they love to dangle that Victoria's Secret modeling gig over the noses of these young ladies. We know for a fact what massage means in the world of Jeffrey Epstein. And so the band plays on, huh? The record keeps on going. All of this could have been avoided if the FBI would have just listened and then did their jobs. However, the teen, who was born with congenital hip dysplasia, which left her with a limp, knew she would not make it as a catwalk model and was not persuaded. Well, you know what? In life sometimes things happen to us, or we're born with, I don't know, maybe a handicap, or we're born with a learning disability or something like that, right? And to us at the time, it might seem like it's the end of it. Oh my God, I can't believe I have this leg injury or whatever it may be. But sometimes those sort of things come back and they end up being a saving grace. Because if Molly did not have hip dysplasia, who knows what sort of line Ghislaine Maxwell would have spit out there? Who knows how heavy she would have laid it on? So Molly, with the hip dysplasia problem, which is obviously something that you would never want to have to deal with, right? But in the end, it came back and it worked in her favor. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though something might seem really crappy right now, later on it might turn into a godsend. Prowling the streets, Molly said Maxwell painted a picture of international traveling, modeling, massages, and opportunities with Victoria's Secret. It was going in one ear and out the other. I've had reconstructive surgery, but my knees are dislocated. I limp. And I've already been told by professional agencies that I was never catwalk modeling material. I told Maxwell I really preferred acting, singing, and musical theater. She said, well, if you change your mind, I have a lot of modeling opportunities. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a good thing that Molly wasn't enticed here, right? Because Lord only knows what sort of misery was awaiting her. And if it's anything like what these other survivors went through, if it was anything like what they had waiting for them, it is an absolute act of God that Molly, through her own perseverance and circumstance, was able to avoid falling into the clutches of these disgusting scuzzballs. The teenager was later told that Maxwell used to prowl around Altamonte Mall in Orlando, handing out her card to girls. So I wonder how many other girls out there have received one of these cards from Ghislaine Maxwell back in the day. That would be an interesting line of pursuit in this investigation. And if I lived in Orlando, perhaps that would be something I'd be all over, to be honest with you. Because as you all know, I am fascinated and I am troubled by all of the unnamed girls in this case. The girls without a voice, the girls who have not come forward, the girls who have nobody to stand for them and stand shoulder to shoulder with them and let them know that it's okay to come forward. And it's something that really weighs on me, folks, you know? It really weighs on me. She said, another girlfriend of mine told me that Ghislaine used to come up to scout up there. She'd be roaming the shops, handing out her card. It happened regularly. Molly, who is also a childhood rape victim, is speaking out in the hope of more sexual assault victims talking and inspiring a community between them. The activist, who runs a successful podcast called Let's Be Frank and website dedicated to self-discovery, says she reported Maxwell to the FBI last year. But she added, they told me that I didn't have a case. Yeah, I can understand why they would say that, right? All right, understood. But that doesn't matter. It adds context to the overall case, right? And Molly coming forward just adds strength to the rest of the claims made by these girls. And that's why it's so important for girls like Molly to come forward with her story. And that's why it's important for us to be receptive and listen. Now, you know my format is to follow what happens in the news. That's what this podcast is based on. We follow the story from the lens of the news. And I can only imagine how many other girls are out there just like Molly. And if there are any girls out there that are just like Molly, and you would like to contact me, please do it. Shoot me an email. I'm here to talk. I'm here to listen. Whatever it is you might want to do. But there are resources for you out there. There are resources out there, and people like Molly and the rest of these survivors of Jeffrey Epstein that have come forward, that are in the public view, I guarantee you, if you're out there right now and you're listening, and you have went through something similar with Epstein or somebody else, and you reach out to any of them, Virginia, Maria, any of them, they will be very receptive to listen and to hear what you have to say, because you are not alone. This is a problem that is obviously very widespread, a problem that even I had no idea about for quite some time. And now, like it says here in the article, with Molly trying to build a community, I think that'll be helpful for other survivors coming forward, right? Maxwell is now locked up in a New York jail facing child grooming charges linked to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. She is accused of recruiting girls for his sick operation and even taking part in the alleged abuse. Epstein killed himself last year in jail before he could face a trial, allegedly. And in the article here, that obviously I post and I'll be posting in the description box, you'll see pictures of Molly that she's provided of herself throughout the years, blah, 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 all of that good jazz. And like usual, like I always tell you, you definitely want to check out the link. You want to check out all of the pictures so you get all of the context, right? So here we are, folks. Another person coming forward. Another person who had an experience with Ghislaine Maxwell, but thankfully didn't fall into the web. It's important to hear these stories. It's important for context to be built. And it is most assuredly important that there is a community where these survivors can go and feel comfortable talking about what they went through. And if Molly Skye Brown is the person to set that community up and to bring the survivors together and have everybody have a place where they can go and speak, then I commend her for her work in doing so. Because guess what, folks? There is enough BS out there, right? There's enough people disliking each other and hating each other. So anytime I see some people get together and form a community and lend each other a shoulder to lean on after they've been through trauma, that's something that I can get behind. And that's definitely something that I can endorse. So another Ghislaine Maxwell story. Another Jeffrey Epstein saga. And here we are, all these years later, all of these complaints later. And in hindsight, knowing that it could have been stopped if the FBI would have just done their jobs, is so angering to me that I can almost not find the words to explain just how mad it makes me. Their job is to protect people like Molly. Their job is to protect people like Virginia. Their job is to make sure that law and order occurs. But if there has ever been an agency that has been derelict in their duty, that has been politicized, that has been on the team of the sickos, that agency is the FBI. Because Jeffrey Epstein and his cohorts and this whole entire sick, disgusting trafficking ring should have been crushed and blown away on the winds to the four corners of the earth decades ago. If you'd like to contact me, you could do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back later on. Enjoy your night.